Hey everyone, this is a spiritual seeker. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a pick a card reading on who is your twin flame. So we're specifically going to be looking at, the characteristics of your twin flame, what they're like. I'm going to cover what your twin flame is like at their best, but also what your twin flame is like at their worst. Because I think it's important to cover both aspects. Not everyone is spiritually evolved to the highest level, otherwise we wouldn't be reincarnating here on Earth, right? So, for example, if one person picks pile one, they might recognize their twin flame by the worst characteristics I mentioned, whereas someone else might pick that same pile and recognize their twin flame by their best traits and their best characteristics. It all depends, what kind of side you've seen to your twin flame, what kind of, connection you've had, interactions that you've had. So I'm going to cover both aspects. I'll cover the negative characteristics first because no one likes to end the reading on a negative, and then we'll look at them, what your twin flame is like at their best, at their fullest potential, where they are spiritually evolved into their good characteristics and their good sides. So, everyone's got two sides, guys. So we'll cover both just to be sure. So we're going from left to right in pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. As always, guys, the timestamps will be in the description box below, and I'll also pin them up in the comments. So I'll give you a second to decide if you want pile 1, 2, or 3, and then we'll get right into the reading. Okay, so I'm just going to move the camera back just so we can get a better view of the cards. Okay, so if you picked pile 1, let's jump right into the reading, guys. So we have, so these are your romance cards. We'll go with these cards first. So we have the prison wave, self-sabotage, poverty, and consciousness. We also have the Lady of the Mirror, reflection and non-judgment, the Spirit Whisperer, divine guidance, higher knowing. All right, let's move these down here. I don't know if you can see. Let me just move this further back so you can see all the cards in the reading. Then we have trust, honeymoon. We have finances and career. Then for your Rider-Waite cards, we have the Temperance. We have the High Priestess in reverse. We have the Four of Wands. We have the Ten of Wands. The Five of Swords and the Queen of Cups. And then for your Wisdom of the Night Oracle card, we have Oath. Okay, so what is your twin flame like? So let's start with the negative traits first, right? What are they like at their worst? Because you might have seen this side to them. You might not have even seen your twin flame at their best, okay? So your twin flame could have some issues with trust. They could have issues trusting people. They could have issues trusting situation. They could have issues trusting their family members and their friends. And they could even have issues trusting themselves, okay? Because they have a tendency to self-sabotage themselves in situations. And they can sometimes be in a mindset of poverty consciousness where they feel like they're not good enough, they feel like they don't have enough, and they end up locking themselves in this prison. But no one purposely puts them in that prison, all right? It's them putting themselves there. It's them locking themselves in a box. It's them locking themselves away. No one is doing this to them. It's a self-sabotaging mechanism. And this can really affect their foundations, okay? Because we've got 31 here. 3 + 1 = 4. 4 is all about the foundation of things, right? So I feel like they could self-sabotage all of their foundations, their work and finance foundations. They could sabotage themselves at work. They could sabotage their own relationships with their family members and friends and the foundation that they've built. And it's almost like they start building a rapport with people. They start building connections, building relationships, building a career and finances. And then all of a sudden they do something like really stupid. And then they end up they end up locking themselves away. They end up imprisoning themselves in their own mind. And because of that, the foundation that they've built ends up crumbling down. The relationship that they've built ends up crumbling down. And it all comes from how they feel about themselves. They might have issues with confidence and self-worth, because we have the Lady of the Mirror, which is all about reflection and non-judgment. And again, guys, we've got 2 number 4s here. So that's just emphasizing. Okay, my cat's coming into the reading, guys. That's another sign. So we've got an emphasis here on the number 4s and of the foundations. They might not have a strong foundation within themselves, okay, when they look into the mirror. And I feel like this is a problem that stems from within, okay? And you might see this negative trait because, well, because twin flames act like mirrors, every time they look into you, or have a connection with you, or some kind of interaction with you, it's like staring into a mirror. And if they're focusing on their negative traits, then you might be mirroring to them their negative traits, and they might not like to look in that mirror. They might not like to see what's in the reflection, because all they see is everything negative within themselves, because you are reflecting what they feel about themselves back onto them, and it's not a nice feeling, because they've got these issues within themselves. And so I'm feeling like you could have a very rocky relationship with your twin flame, because you are reflecting back to them what they do not want to see, what they do not want to admit to themselves, because you are reflecting to them what is wrong in their foundation and how they start off relationships and connections with other people. And I'm feeling like this could make them very off balanced with the temperance. And, it actually stifles their crown chakra here. We've got the Spirit Whisperer, which is divine guidance and higher knowing, with the number 3. And we also have the High Priestess in reverse. So to me, that's saying that this can actually stifle their intuition. It can stifle their crown chakra. It can stifle their third eye chakra. And they become very disconnected from spirit. They become very disconnected from their own intuition and higher knowing. They subconsciously know what's right and what they should do, but they refuse to accept the knowledge. They refuse to accept the divine guidance, okay? They refuse to work with other people with the number 3, because 3 is all about connections, third parties, celebrations, being with people, family, friends. They refuse it for whatever reason that is. And I feel, again, because of the 2 pillars here, this is reminding me of Libra, okay, and balance, especially with the temperance. It makes them very off balance. They might live too much in the physical 3D world, to the point where they are completely out of touch with their spirituality and their spiritual nature. And that might make them very egotistical and very 3D, very possessive and obsessive over material belongings, because they have this issue where they are blocked off from their intuition. They're blocked off from their own inner and higher knowing. And then they live in this poverty consciousness where they feel like they don't have enough, so they cling onto everything and everyone around them that they think will help their foundation, but actually all they end up doing is ruining the foundation, which is, again, the self-sabotage. Now, when you first meet this person, their passion is there, their connection is there. Okay, there is the honeymoon phase, but they might get quickly bored once that's ended, okay? Because they might have some trust issues. They might feel like, okay, I can deal with the honeymoon phase, but once we go past that, I'm not too sure, because I don't know whether I can trust you. I don't know whether I can trust myself. They're not connecting with their higher self. They're not connecting with their guides or their own spiritual nature. So they have an issue with trust, so they might think that they can't commit. Okay, they might have an issue with oath and commitment, because, if they have an issue with that, then they might not want to take it to the next level. That might be very scared for them, because they're a very overburdened person, okay? They carry a lot of weight on their shoulders. They're not sure what to do with it or how to carry it, and they end up being alone. You see this guy who's just walking by himself. He's overburdened, he's overworked, he's still got a long way to go. and he might have a problem with ending cycles and starting new cycles, because we do have the number 10 here. We're feeling overburdened, but we're not sure how to start a new cycle. We're not sure how to start from scratch. We don't trust our own intuition here. Your twin flame might not trust their own intuition at their worst. And so because they don't do that, they feel overburdened. They don't know how to start again. They don't know how to build a strong foundation with the Four of Wands. They don't know how to celebrate and be around people. They don't know how to just be in that celebrative energy of rejoicing and having a strong foundation and reaping the rewards of what they sow, because there's a disconnect between the head and the heart. There's some kind of disconnect between the root chakra and the crown chakra. Okay, but with the Queen of Cups, they do have an ability to tap into their emotions. Okay, your twin flame at their best can be very emotional and nurturing. But again, we've got the Five of Swords, we've got the Ten of Wands, feeling overburdened, not tapping into our intuition, maybe not even being balanced at times. And it might just be easier for them to focus on their finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. It might just be easier for this person to work in the root chakra, to work in the 3D world, because dealing with spirit and dealing with all these lessons about reflection and you being their twin flame and living in this poverty consciousness and, tapping into their divine intuition and tapping into the realm of spirit and the angels might just be too difficult for them. They might not be ready to tap into that. They might not be ready for that higher knowing. They might not be ready to start working with people and celebrating with people. There's some aspect that they're still working stuff out on their own. Okay, they're still learning a lot of karmic lessons. So that is your twin flame at their worst. So let's move on to the positives, okay? Because not everyone will have met their twin flame at their worst. So at their best, your twin flame doesn't self-sabotage, okay? Your twin flame recognizes you as a reflection and an extension of them. They recognize that you will not judge them, and so therefore they can trust you to move past the honeymoon phase and into a committed relationship with the oath. Your twin flame at their best doesn't allow themselves to be overburdened. Your twin flame at their best taps into their intuition and their higher knowing to make decisions, especially in their finances and career as well. They trust their gut and they have a good balance between their crown chakra and their root chakra. And they're balanced with it within themselves. They work with their spirituality and they ground that into the 3D world, into their actual reality. Your twin flame at their best is someone who is capable of love, someone who is capable of care, emotion, intuition. They are capable of being a mother or a father figure. They are capable of tapping into their emotions and accepting those emotions. Because, at their worst, they might not be able to do that. They might feel already overburdened. They might already feel too overburdened to deal with their emotions at their worst, but at their best, they can acknowledge these emotions. They can balance them with rationality. They can trust themselves, and they have a strong foundation, okay, with all the number 4s. At their best, they can communicate clearly without it being a challenge, and that can be transformative, and they can celebrate and build upon those foundations with passion and joy. It's the Four of Wands is also about the world and the universe giving you pleasant surprises, so they allow themselves to receive instead of being in this poverty consciousness where they have no foundation and they lock themselves in this prison. They can acknowledge their flaws in the mirror that they see within you, and they can trust within that without feeling overburdened, without feeling that their emotions are overwhelming. Okay, and the Four of Wands is also about reaping what you sow, because the foundations that you've built are strong. So your twin flame at their best can build strong foundations in their career and finances, in their relationships. They are successful. They don't just want a honeymoon phase. They want love and commitment and trust. They want this Queen of Cups energy with this temperance and this balance. And it's funny because we are coming into Libra season soon, and this is reminding me of Libra energy here with the temperance and balance, and having that energy between the rational and the practical and the spiritual and the esoteric. But your twin flame at their best also sees you as someone who does not judge them, but they see you as a reflection of themselves, and that reflection can be worked upon. I'm not saying that you need to change or that they want to work upon their own reflection because they see negatives in you, but they see you as a reflection of them in a positive way, in which that they can change for the better and they can become more balanced because your energies balance each other's out. So I hope that resonated for you guys. I'm just going to see if there's anything else I can pick up. It's not a majorly long reading, but let me just see. So we have, we do have a lot of air energy here, guys. So Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, particularly Libra I'm picking up, but we also do have wand energy as well. So we do have fire with the 4 of Wands and the 10 of Wands. You know, we do have water as well, so I'm not getting much earth, but any of those air, fire, or water signs in their sun, moon, or rising, I know that's not very specific, but it is a general reading. But I'm getting a lot of air and fire, so Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And then we also have Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. So yeah, I hope that resonated for you guys, and you can at least take something away from this reading. And like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you'd like to see next. Thank you guys. Bye. Okay, so if you picked pile 2, what is your twin flame like? What are their characteristics? Let's go with these cards first. And what are they good? What are they like at their best and their worst? So we have the Dreamwalker, dreams, the collective good, and illusions. Okay. We have the Hungry Ghost, obsession, scarcity consciousness, and attachment. We also have the Phoenix, resurrection, surrender to change. Then we have healing family issues. We have flirt. We have the flirt card here, guys. We have give your relationship a chance. Stay optimistic about your love life. We have obedience. And then let's have a look at your wider rate cards. So we have the 5 of... Oh, I'm flinging cards everywhere here, guys. So we have the 5 of Cups. We have the Chariot in reverse. The Ace of Wands. Then we have the King of Swords. We have the 7 of Wands. And then we also have the Hanged Man. Okay, so as I said with pile 1, I'm going to start off with the negative traits first. So what your twin flame would be like at their worst, because no one likes to end the reading on a negative. And, you know, some people might resonate with the negative traits more. Some people might associate with the more positive traits. It all depends on how evolved your twin flame is in your connection and how they've projected themselves onto you and how they've presented themselves. So some twin flames may have projected themselves negatively, some positively. So let's start with the negatives. So your twin flame could have issues with giving relationships a chance. They might not work on their partnerships, as this romance card is saying. They might flee before you even get a chance, before you even get a foot in the door. It might be like a quick whirlwind romance, and they flee before it's even started, before it's even began. And it's almost like, you know, I'm getting like one night stand kind of energy where they're around for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, but not really long enough. The connection might not have been deep enough for you to really get to know them on a soul level. Now that sounds kind of ridiculous, because twin flames already do know each other on a soul level. So even if they weren't actively or consciously telling you, you kind of already knew who they were, what they were about, how they really were on a soul level. But they might not open up and tell you that consciously. They might pretend like they have this facade on, and even if you see behind the facade, they still won't tell you what they're really like, or they won't open up to you even if you do know the truth, okay? And they might have an issue I'm moving the camera. They might have an issue with change. We've got the Phoenix here. Now, even though there's a number 29 on the card, the Phoenix actually reminds me of the number 16, because the number 16 is all about the Phoenix. It's all about the resurrection and the surrender to ego. Because if you're born on the 16th of the month, it's a karmic number, and the karmic to do with that is about ego, and the Phoenix reminds me of the ego. The rise and the fall of the ego, the crashing and then the resurrection of that from ash to rise up. That is about the Phoenix. You can research it online if you're born on a karmic number day. And it's all about this surrender to change and rising from the ashes. And they might really have a problem with that. They might really dig their heels in when it comes to any kind of change and any kind of opening up. And so it's easier to kind of just, flee before they even give the relationship a chance and live in this illusion that everything's really good and they're really dreamlike and they can go off on their own, and they don't need a relationship. They can be by themselves. They don't need this kind of energy. They're just gonna flirt. Okay, they're not really have any kind of commitment. They're just really light-hearted and jokey and funny. But when it comes to anything serious, it's like they flee because they have an issue with attachment. Okay, scarcity consciousness and obsessions, and this could come from past childhood family issues. They might have a real issue with a parental figure, something to do with attachments. There might be some conflict with their attachments. They might not feel very securely attached, so they feel like it's easier to keep the energy light-hearted, because otherwise they might obsess over it. They might overthink it, overanalyze it. With the swords here and the obedience, they might feel like they end up being blinded by love, and that's not something that they want to tread lightly on because it scares them. To them, love might lead to disappointments and heartache, where they can only focus on the negative rather than the positive. And even though there's all this initial passion and flirting with the Ace of Wands and this really amazing connection, they can end up being quite harsh with their words. We've got a lot of swords energy here, guys, but the King of Swords, okay, they might be a bit harsh on the tongue, sarcastic, quick-witted, but really coming from a place of defense with the sword. They're not coming from a place of love or compassion. They're just coming from a place of defense because they have an issue with attachments and possibly arguing with people or arguing with family members as well. With the Seven of Swords, it's all about conflict as well, fighting people off. They might always feel like they're alone and they're having to defend themselves, especially even with the obedience card. She's having to defend herself blindfolded. They might have had experiences in the past with family members or as a child where they've really been caught off guard when they've had healthy relationships, and they've been hurt in some way to the point when they feel defensive. They feel like they can't move. Okay, we've got the Chariot in reverse and the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man's not really going anywhere. He's just contemplating. And the Chariot in reverse, nothing's moving. So I feel like your connection is very stuck and stagnant right now. Nothing's really moving. There could be conflict. There could be this family issue. No one's really changing because no one's surrendering to the change, or particularly your twin flames not surrendering into this change. And they have this scarcity consciousness where everything that they have is not enough, or they get too attached and obsessed to things, even you, and that scares them. Their emotions scare them because they are at such a level, at such a depth, where they are so attached and obsessed to you and they love you so much that ironically they are running away because it's almost too much, it's almost overwhelming. So it's easier to just cut you off like the King of Swords and be quite unattached, be quite rational and practical about the situation and ignore their emotions and just cut you off. Okay, take that sword from the throat chakra and just completely cut off communication. That might be easier for them to just leave things as they are and walk away. And they might be quite pessimistic about love, especially this with the Five of Cups. They might just dwell on the negatives. They can't really see the positives in a situation or in connections because they've been so hurt. So it's easier to just keep the energy light-hearted, to flirt, to be a player, okay? But however, saying that, your twin flame at their best is optimistic. They're fun, okay? They're obedient, and I don't mean as in like they'll let you wear the trousers in the relationship kind of obedient, but they have a level of self-control where they aren't ruled by their obsessions or attachments. Okay, they're quite a dreamer. They have all these good ideas. If they heal these family issues, then they are capable of having a committed relationship where they can move forward with all this passion and this energy. But at the minute, they might be stuck in a situation or you might be stuck in your connection because they're not sure how to move forward. Okay, they're blindfolded. They're not sure where they're aiming with their swords. They just kind of going about there willy-nilly. And you see how we've got the scales here as well. Libra. We've got Libra energy coming in, and it's coming up to Libra season, so very significant there, guys. But at their best, your twin flame can rise from the ashes. They are passionate. They have this passionate energy. You have this passionate connection. They can be intuitive and wise. They can contemplate. They can be positive. They can be optimistic. They can do things for the collective good, and your connection can be infinite with the number 8. They can walk amongst their dreams. They can bring their dreams into reality at their best. They don't live in a scarcity consciousness. They can actually manifest what they want into reality because they are abundant in themselves, and they don't need to rely on anyone for their happiness. They are happy within themselves. They have resurrected and they have turned a corner at their best. But, depending on if you've seen them at their best or at their worst, it's going to depend on how you see this reading. So I hope that resonated for you guys. It wasn't a super long reading, but I hope you can at least take something away from this. So make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week, and let me know what you'd like to see in the comments, guys. Thank you. Okay, so if you picked pile 3, what is your twin flame like? Their characteristics at their best and their worst. Okay, so let's go with these cards first. So we have the Arrow Master. Hitting the mark, intention and detachment. I think you got the most cards as well, guys. We have the Chess Queen, I can't even speak, trust and strategizing. We have the Ringmaster of Scrutiny, discernment, clear vision and details. And we have Gaia's Garden, or Gaia, I'm not too sure how you say that. Fruition, abundance, and reaping what you sow. We have Retreat. We have Romantic Feelings. We have Separation and Unrequited Love. And then for your Rider-Waite tarot cards, we also have the High Priestess of Air. And then for your Rider-Waite tarot cards, we have the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Empress, we have the Page of Cups, we have the Queen of Wands, and the Fool. Okay, so as I said with the other piles, guys, I'm going to start out with your twin flame at their worst, the negative characteristics, because no one likes to finish on a negative on a reading. It depends on how they've projected themselves to you, the conditions under which you've met. Even if you haven't met your twin flame, you might not know either. So it all depends it depends if you've seen them at their worst or at their best to how you would recognize if this is them. Okay, so your twin flame at your worst is someone who can be quite detached and by themselves with the Arrow Master up there in the number 10. They can be quite, how do I put this? They can be very practical and logical and have a very clear-cut vision, but this also reminds me of the King of Swords energy, where they can be quite cutthroat and harsh in their energy because they have this ability to just detach. Now I'm getting air energy here as well, so Gemini, Libra or Aquarius. Now we are coming into Libra season, and Libra is coming up in all of the readings so far, so I'm not surprised if it comes up in this one either. But we also have the High Priestess of Air as well. So they can be an aspect to their character that is negative, is in they focus too much on the details. Okay, they're over analytical, they scrutinize everything down to the last detail. They have this level of clarity that almost is a detriment to them, because they might over analyze something so much that they create scenarios in their heads that aren't even real. They might have met you might have met your twin flame, and they've made already 100 scenarios of how the connection could go wrong, so they've detached from the situation. And they are strong-willed, so they have no problem in sticking to what they say. So if they're going to be harsh with their words, they've got no problem acting that out and strategizing that and being quite harsh with you. They've got no, how some people can be quite harsh with their words and regret it later. This person can be harsh with their words and stick to it because they have that intention, like, nope, this is how it's going to be, the scenario is going to play out like this and this, or this could happen, ABC could happen, and so I need to detach now, that's going to be my intention. It's almost like they can overthink themselves into oblivion. They are all up in their head energy is what I'm getting, and they don't allow themselves to feel. And they could actually channel that energy instead of into love, they could actually channel that energy into fruition, abundance, reaping what they sow. You know, we've got Gaia's garden here in the material world, earth energy coming in, okay, Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. They could be in a sign in their sun, moon, or rising. So what they do is they channel that energy into their workplace, into their material world, and they manifest it into abundance, into physical 3D abundance, because it's a lot easier than trying to put all that mental energy and that mental stimulation into how they're feeling, because that can make them quite confused and overwhelmed. I'm getting with the Page of Cups. You see how this, you know, this little girl, all this waves coming over, it's like in over her head is what I'm getting. You know, it's their emotions are in over their head, so they have to detach because they don't know how to handle that level of emotion, that level of intensity. And you know, the page is a less mature character than a king or queen, so they might have a level of emotional immaturity where the only way that they can cope with this is to be clear cut and cutthroat with their words, because they're over analytical of everything. They're over analytical of their emotions, they're over analytical of situations and scenarios. So they have to create this kind of strategy, okay, with the chess queen, because they have a lack of trust. Remember, this is them at their worst. So because of that lack of trust, they have to detach themselves from the situation and channel it into something else. And they might seem quite even foolish at times. They might jump into investments or situations or relationships or connections with people that just seem really idiotic, where they're just kind of on their way. They don't really know where they're going. They're kind of blinded by everything. They don't really know where they're going. They travel light, they travel by themselves, and they're off on their way. And you know, the fool is quite immature in themselves, because it is the zero. We're not at the world, we're not at the number 24 or completion of cycles, we're not at the wheel of fortune either, where we understand the cycle and the lesson. We are starting out fresh with the fool. So they might be quite immature in that sense, where they walk into something not really knowing what they're doing or where they're going, and they end up overthinking themselves. I mean, this could be an unrequited love. I feel like you are definitely in some kind of separation. The romantic feelings are there, but there is some need to retreat. There is some need to disconnect from the connection, to disconnect from the world, because there is something that needs to be learned here. There is something that needs balance. Again, with Libra energy coming in as we're going into Libra season, this person might be all up in their head strategizing. They might have this clarity. Yes, they might have some positive attributes of the air signs. Okay, I'm not saying air signs are negative. I'm a Gemini myself, but you know, they could take on the negative traits of that, and they might need to balance their emotions. They might need to really work on their emotional maturity, and they might really need to work on their intuition with the Empress. You know, we do have the Queen of Wands. We do have a lot of feminine energy in this reading. We've got Gaia, we've got the Chess Queen, we've got the Queen of Wands, we've got the Empress, okay? We've got the High Priestess of Air. We've got a lot of women in this reading. So they might need to balance their feminine energy. They might not be very good at opening up from their masculine side. And you know, the Empress is someone who's intuitive. She works from the crown chakra. The Queen of Wands is someone who is passionate, who is integral, who is, you know, firm in her foundation. She is extremely creative as well. She's abundant, she's wise and knowledgeable, and she knows what she wants and how to get it. But they might not, your twin flame might not be tapping into their intuitive side. They might be tapping into all of this chaotic air energy, but they're not doing anything intuitive with it. They're not doing anything creative with it. They can't work on their emotions and passions with that. So instead, they've got to work in the material world, growing abundance and being practical and logical and scrutinizing everything and working by themselves with the number 18 here. 1 + 8 = 9. 9 is all about solitude. You know, I'm just seeing that they really have to work on themselves because they're not sure how to work with other people. They might just have this trauma from past previous loves or past lives or family issues from childhood, where they've had to detach from situations and go off by themselves and do things by themselves. And they might have been blindsided in the past. They might not have seen things with clarity before. in the past. So now they have extreme clarity, but again, with the number 9, they are by themselves. So that is them at their worst, okay? The lone wolf, you know, the strategizer, but using their strategic knowledge to manipulate people as well is what I'm getting. But they know what they want and how to get it with hitting the mark, but they might not necessarily use that for the good. They might just think, oh yeah, I want a one night stand or whatever, so that's what I'm going to get. And then I'm going to detach straight after that. But at their best, they are someone who can work really well and who is successful in the material world with these 2 cards here. They are someone with clear vision and clarity, someone who is a master of their craft, someone who can set their intention and manifest everything that they want into reality, someone who is very good at strategizing for the positive, someone who is very trusting and can trust what people say because they see with clarity. They know if someone's telling the truth or not. So if they see someone who they trust, they are willing to trust and open up to that person at their best. They are willing to work with other people and not be by themselves. They are willing to have these great ideas with all the air energy. They are very good at discerning at their best. They are very good at opening up to their romantic feelings and exploring those romantic feelings. They are very adventurous and funny and a free spirit at their best. You know, they might be willing to take risks, but it's all in good faith, it's all in good heart, and it does lead to them manifesting their true desire. Oh no, guys, I'm so sorry. The recording cut off because, you know, I'm a borderline idiot and I knew that my phone needed charging before I recorded this reading, but, you know, I still went ahead and did it anyway. So I'm sorry if the reading's a little bit disjointed now or disconnected, but I'm just going to quickly finish up the reading. I feel like I've lost the flow a little bit now. But just to recap what I was saying just before it cut off, with the Fool energy, they are very good at their best at manifesting what they want into their desires. They are very bold. I feel like they are very eccentric at their best. They have very unique sense of taste and style. I do feel like they're quite humorous, okay, with the Fool card here. They're quite a bit of a jokester at their best. They're quite funny. At their best, they are intuitive. They are able to manifest what they want from their crown chakra down into their root chakra. They are very creative at their best and finding creative and strategic solutions to problems. They can become attached in healthy ways at their best. They are also very good with their ideas, as I've said, and manifesting those ideas down into reality. They are very good at not being overwhelmed by their emotions and opening up with their emotions at their best. And they're someone who is able to connect with others without retreating, without detaching, without having to separate themselves from the person or suddenly cut them off in some way because out of fear, essentially. But again, I'm sorry if this reading is a little bit disjointed. Let me just see if I can pick up anything else. I was really in the flow of that then, guys. I'm sorry. But as well, I'm feeling at their best, they are emotionally mature and they are very good at reaping what they sow. They are very independent. They are very headstrong. They are very talented with their knowledge and ideas. I feel like they have a very good creative flair, particularly in music I'm picking up, or in some kind of the arts, that they can make a career out of that. I'm also feeling that at their best, they are very determined. They are very good manifestors just because of the way that their mind works, okay? They are complex in the mind. They are complex within their thoughts and ideas, but for some reason they manage to pull it off. They stand by what they say, they stand by what they do. They're a man or a woman of their word. So if they say that they're going to have your back, they will do at their best. They're someone who's just very free-spirited and funny, and they probably have like a very jokey sense of humor, a very quick wit and funny kind of sarcasm. They might even have like a dry sense of humor that you find quite admirable. But yeah, at their best as well, I'm just picking up on the Empress again. Just someone who is intuitive, caring, who can be nurturing, who can get what they want in the material world, and they have a very strong work ethic, and they have a very strong determination when it comes to what they want and how they're going to get it. And they are very patient because they're willing to strategize, they're willing to take that time to see the clarity, to discern what might be an illusion, what might not be, and then they know how to hit the target and hit their mark. So I hope that reading resonated with you guys, and that you could at least take something from this reading. So make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.